all, this is Once and Future Gamer, and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Pokemon Platinum with only normal type moves was a grueling endurance race that tested me to my limits. Let's go with a single Pokemon run today as we return to Gen 1 and answer the question of if I can beat Pokemon Red with only a single Porygon. We're normal type, which isn't necessarily bad. In Gen 1, we've got a 310 base stat total, which is the same as Lickitung, Nidorino and Nidorina, randomly. Slightly better than Beedrill and Butterfree, slightly worse than Rhyhorn. Our speed isn't great, which could be bad in Gen 1 because we're not going to crit much. Everything else is halfway decent though. Special and defense are both okay. Attack and HP aren't much worse. We have one weakness in the fighting type and one immunity in Ghost. Move wise, we don't get much via level up. We get 3 moves to last us until level 23, but then we do get Psybeam, which could be useful. Ditto, recover a bit later on. I could really get some use out of that. Via TM, we get Ice Beam and Thunderbolt for coverage, as well as Psychic and some normal moves like Swift, Double Edge and Hyper Beam. I think we might be okay here. Predictions. I'm not looking forward to Brock. We do have the ability to raise our attack, so that could be key. Misty is someone we might have to brute force. Once we do start to get coverage, we should be okay. We have one weakness and we get the coverage for it with Psychic type moves. I can't see us having too many issues with the gyms or Elite Four. Maybe Lorelei could be awkward, but we do get Thunderbolt. Rival might be tough as per usual. Just the rules then. In combat, I can only use Porygon. Other Pokemon will be needed for HMs but unable to fight. Only Pokeballs in battle. And last of all, no glitches or exploits in this game. If you do enjoy what you see, drop a like, hit the subscribe button and do unto the bell what bells were created to do and let it ring. So then, I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace one of the traditional starters for Porygon, and it is a tough choice. There's arguments against all of the starters. In the end, I picked to replace Charmander, giving our rival Blastoise. We get Ice and Electric moves by TM, so it gives us advantages over all the starters. I picked to replace Squirtle so that our rival would have an Arcanine and an Executor, which felt harder to fight. I nickname our Porygon Cyberdyne because basically it's an artificial intelligence. It seems an apt nickname and immensely better than what I came up for with the team last week. We have to fight the rival next, and his Squirtle is faster than our Porygon. It hits us with a bunch of tackles over and over. Thankfully, we have a tackle too, and ours is stronger thanks to Stab. It hits for decent damage, which gets compounded when I use a Sharpen to raise our attack. We soon take it out with some health remaining, and we never really look like losing here. Another fight that we never look like losing is the one on Route 22, as we face him again, and this time he has a Pidgey to accompany his Squirtle. We get 2 Sharpens up while we get tagged with Gusts. He misses a Sand attack but hits the second one as we 2-hit Pidgey with Tackle. Going into the Squirtle fight with lowered accuracy, this could be bad. It's actually not though, as we do 3-hit the Squirtle, but unfortunately 2 of those hits are crits, which ignore any attack buffs in Gen 1, which is really not helpful. Hey, Gen 1 has bugs, I don't mean the ones you find in Viridian Forest, although that is where we are heading next. Porygon gets 2 signature moves in Gen 1, one being the aforementioned Sharpen, the other being Conversion. Now, Conversion turns the user into the target's current type, so this could make Brock actually not that much of an issue. He only has normal type moves for damage in this game, so as a result, if we can turn into the Rock type with our good defense, we might be able to get something going. I do think this fight might be grueling though. Versus Geodude, we use Conversion to turn into the Rock type, and then go for 6 Sharpens while it hits us with tackles for 1 point of damage each turn. Unfortunately, it also knows Defense Curl and starts to use them towards the back end of our power-up spree, raising its defences, and our tackles gradually do less and less and less and less, which is really not good. We are at +6 in attack, and come the end, we're maybe doing 1 or 2 points of damage, which is pretty galling. It takes 16 tackles to down Geodude, which really isn't great. Mind you, considering we're only 2 levels higher and using a not very effective move, I don't suppose it is that bad. Onix is easier, though we do take quite a bit of damage in this fight due to being slower. and as a result it can outspeed us with Bide, which means we take some unleashed energy. Considering that I was pretty shameless with this move last week, I really shouldn't be complaining about Bide. At least Onyx doesn't appear to have any means of raising its defence, so we do hit it for a consistent amount of damage, and eventually it does go down for the count, giving us the first badge. I go through Mount Moon and the Zubat Gauntlet, and it's a little annoying when it comes to enemy trainers who have rock types. We can make it work, as we saw with Brock, that they can't really hurt us, but it is also hard for us to hurt them. I cannot wait until I can get a better move than Tackle, and that move is soon around the corner. Not that it will do as much good as Misty, admittedly. Before I do leave the mountain, I take a fossil and move on. I arrive in Cerulean City and decide that I'll tackle the Nugget Bridge rival fight first, thanks to us having Psybeam. This is probably a better offensive move than Tackle. It is more accurate, it uses our better attack stat, well, our special stat anyway. I know we get stabbed with Tackle, but I can see this being the move of choice for a while. Pidgeotto actually takes 3 Psybeams to go down, during which time we get hit with a few quick attacks and 2 sand attacks, which really isn't ideal at all. We take it down, but the damage is done. Abra is next and it cannot attack, so I do take that opportunity to get 6 Sharpens up. Now, it's not going to raise the power of Psybeam, but if we are going to be running the risk of missing attacks, I want to be able to do as much damage as possible when we do land them. We do land a tackle on Abra, and with our attack stat at +6, it goes from sleeping to unconscious. Rattata is annoying. We miss like 4 tackles on it before finally we do land one, during which time we get clattered with its own tackle attacks and plus a few quick attacks for chip damage. At least when it comes to his Squirtle, we one-hit it with our first tackle, so good result there. I'm going to go attack Misty, I think, see how we do. I have a plan, and I think it's cunning anyway. I make an insanely bold prediction that clearly won't come back to haunt me in 3, 2, 1. I don't think she'll be able to hurt us much, and when we begin the fight, I use Conversion to change into the Water type. She doesn't have a move that confuses like in Fire Red and Leaf Green, so all Staryu does is tackle us. Worst case scenario, we get hit with Bubble Beam. We have good special and now we're Water type, so it's really not going to be fatal. I get 6 Sharpens up while Staryu spins into us and hits tackles. We shrug them off easily. She goes for an X-Defend and I knock it out with some Psybeams because of this. That move isn't going to do much versus Starmie though, so I go into hitting it with +6 boosted tackles. We're no longer normal type, so we don't get stab, which is annoying, but considering the alternative is getting bubble blasted by a giant purple starfish with what passes for an expensive face, I think it's a small price to pay. We win, we get the badge, we move on. Next major fight is the SSN rival fight, and we are pretty well prepared for this thanks to some intense training. Pidgeotto hits a gust but goes down to Psybeam and Tackle. His soon-to-be dearly departed Raticate goes down to a single Psybeam before we take his Kadabra out with Tackle. I can't help thinking we'll need something physical move-wise to deal with that as it grows up and gets stronger. Wartortle is last. It hits a Tackle despite us confusing it with Psybeam and we take it out with a second attack. Let's go Tackle Surge and the most hated gym puzzle in the game, at least from my POV. You might agree, you might disagree. My opinion anyway. Versus his Voltorb, we sharpen a bunch of times to raise our attack, getting 5 of them off. Some of these Pokemon, like Pikachu, are notoriously frail, so I do want to be able to one-hit them. I do have a bit of a sinking feeling when we get hit with 3 Screech attacks, so we are going to be a little bit weak if we do get tagged with physical moves. He does hit a Tackle, but thanks to Voltorb's speed, it crits, so only does slight damage. As we've already said, in Gen 1, crits ignore any defense buffs or debuffs, so that works for me there. I eventually tag the Voltorb with a Tackle of our own to end it. We outspeed Pikachu and put it down with Tackle before Raichu is last. He drops an X-Speed on it, his signature move, and then we hit a crit Tackle, which is annoying due to being +5 in attack. A Thunder Shock does land, but we brush it off to hit another tackle and get the win and the Thunderbolt TM. I'll make very good use of this, don't you worry, Lieutenant. Bit of walking now until the next major fight as we traverse the rock tunnel and all that stuff. Have you ever heard the story as to why Porygon has never had a major anime presence? Because when it made the anime debut in Japan, there were some flashing strobe lights in the episode that gave more than 600 kids seizures, requiring hospital treatment. As a result, the episode was banned, and the Pokemon has only ever been relegated to cameo appearances. Another fun fact for you, Porygon is the only Pokemon that evolves by trade twice. Maybe I'll make that a regular section in these single Pokemon run videos. Maybe I won't. Fun fact about the Pokemon that's taking on the region this week. No promises on that. I always look to try something different. Anyway, Lavender Town. I stop by via Pokemon Tower and go to fight the rival while I'm here. I'll shuffle on over to Celadon after. He begins with Pidgeotto and we shoot it down with Thunderbolt for an easy victory. Growlithe, out next, also goes down to Thunderbolt. Execute is something that I don't really have a good answer for at this time. So, I two-hit it with Tackle, though it does thankfully miss Hypnosis, but that's not really uncommon though. Kadabra goes down to a Soul Thunderbolt before Wartortle is last, and we are firmly in the camp of going on the electric sweep, and so we take it down hard with Thunderbolt. We fry his turtle! I get the Ice Beam TM in Celadon and go after Giovanni first, fighting my way through the rocket hideout until I get to his lair. Apparently, I impress him with my efforts despite the fact that I beat up all his hired goons. I suppose it's been said many a time that good goons are hard to find. And anyway, my new move makes this fight very simple as we down Onyx with Ice Beam and very soon after do for his Rhyhorn in the same fashion. The Kangaskhan, out last, also gets one hit with Ice Beam, which I am pretty surprised about. I figured it'd be a two-hit. Oh well, victory! I'll make a quick stopover and face Erica while I'm here, but I'm really not anticipating problems in the slightest. Maybe I'm being optimistic again, but we'll see, I guess. Well, would you look at that? It's another case of ice, baby, as we Ice Beam through her team in pretty short order. Down in first her Victory Bell, and then her Tangela, and last her Vileplume with one hit apiece. See, I was right to be optimistic in this instance, I guess. I decide to head to Sylph next and clear the building out. I want the Lapras for Surf and Strength. While I'm clearing out the building, let's talk about what's ongoing on the channel. I hit 200 subscribers, as I mentioned at the end of the last challenge. So, I am grateful for everyone who didn't just subscribe, but took the time out of their day to watch me do my thing. It means a lot. I'm working on something for that milestone. See the end of the video. We've had some Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX for this week's Pokemon Let's Play. It'll be Insurgents again next week. We've done some more Fable Anniversary. We've done some more Resident Evil Revelations 2. So all is moving on nicely. Just playing games and making videos. Love it. Might as well mention next week's Pokemon Challenge while we're here. It is going to be another team run, which is brave considering that the last one nearly broke me. But it's in a game I've not done before, and indeed I've not played for a very long time. We're going to be asking ourselves if I can beat Pokemon Ruby with Archie's team and moves. I'll probably be doing Sapphire with Max's team and moves at a later date. Be sure to check it out when it uploads. As always, I cannot wait to see what ideas you might have for Pokemon challenges. Drop them in the comments section below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. I always like to fight the grunts in Sylph because they vanish after we beat Giovanni, and as a result we can miss out on quite a lot of experience. Koga shouldn't be an issue, but I think we might have issues hitting Sabrina and possibly Blaine hard. We don't have any super effective moves for them. Before that though, we've got the rival fight to worry about, and this traditionally is a hard one. Anyway, Pidgeot goes down to a single Thunderbolt. That's pretty good. Growlithe also goes down to a single Thunderbolt, and that gives me hope that Blaine won't be that bad. Execute is a one hit with Ice Beam. Alakazam though is faster than us and uses Recover before we've hit it, before surviving Thunderbolt. It then crits us with Psybeam for a good chunk of our health. That doesn't fill me with confidence for Sabrina, even though we do two hit it with Thunderbolt. Before the Blastoise at the last is a one hit with Thunderbolt. Easy fight, but food for thought. Giovanni is up next to round out this area. Once we've beaten him and survived his so-called world of pain, we can leave. Nidorino is a one hit with Psybeam. I'll upgrade that move soon. Kangaskhan goes down to a single Ice Beam, just like she did last time, before Rhyhorn is also a one hit with Ice Beam. The Nidoqueen is last, and I duly decide to continue the cycle, and we wreck her with an Ice Beam for the victory. While I am in Saffron City, before I make the journey south, I decide to see how we match up versus Sabrina, and if we can beat her. I'd be hopeful, but I think this won't be easy. I can definitely see Alakazam causing some problems. We can't even one-hit Kadabra when the fight begins, so that should definitely set the tone. It outspeeds us for a start, but we hit an Ice Beam before it disables that move as we try to use it again, so the second turn ends in stalemate. We finish it with Thunderbolt, but not before it does decent damage with Psybeam. Mr. Mime goes down to a crit Thunderbolt before Venomoth survives the first Psybeam and counters with Leech Life for minimal damage, but we finish it at the second attempt. Last is Alakazam, and it is faster, but at least it only tries to attack with Psywave, so that automatically improves our chances of winning by like 99%. We hit some Ice Beams and some Thunderbolts, but it keeps spamming Recover, which is annoying. It does it a few times before we do crash a crit Thunderbolt into it and take it down. Let's head south to deal with Koga. We're moving through the gears now. I always find Koga to be more irritating than difficult, especially if you give him chance to get going with his status techniques. Thankfully, that never happens here, as we hit the first Coughing with Psybeam for the win. His Muck is also a one hit with Psybeam, so that's handy too, because that thing can be annoying. His second Coughing goes down in the same fashion as the first one to Psybeam. Weezing actually survives Psybeam, and he takes the chance with his one and only turn to use an X attack, and we end it the next turn with another Psybeam. 6 badges down, time to move on. It is time to head to Cinnabar Island and tackle Blaine for the 7th badge. It takes a bit of time to get to him, but soon we do get to confront him and his notoriously screwy AI. What do we reckon will happen? Illegal Super Potion? Spamming Roar? I used the Psychic TM before this battle, so we do have a bit more power behind us. Growlithe goes down to that very said Psychic move. Next is Ponyta, who also crumbles before the full Psychic power of this machine. Yeah, that makes no sense if you think about it. Rapidash survives Psychic and hits Fire Spin. Now in this game, that move stun locks you, and here we see an illegal move. We get hit with 2 turns of Fire Spin, Blaine drops a Super Potion, and then we get hit with another round of Fire Spin. The phrase, wow, really? Springs to mind, but we finish it off the first chance we get. Arcanine is a 2 hits with Psychic, only choosing to go for Roar in exchange rather than actually attacking. Well, that was simple. Giovanni is last as we head into the ground gym, all prepared to fight. I'm not worried about this at all. He hasn't been a challenge the last 2 times, so I'm not sure why he would be now. He seems far too confident for somebody who's twice taken a beating from a 10-year-old. Rhyhorn goes down to Ice Beam when we start the fight. Dugtrio is faster, but fails with Growl before it goes down to Ice Beam. So far so good. Even if Growl had landed, it wouldn't have done much. Nidoqueen goes down to Psychic, and we promptly do the same to Nidoking once he sends that out too. Rhydon is last, we fire an Ice Beam at it, and the move duly ends it to give us the 8th badge, and we can head for Victory Road. Before then though, there is a rival fight, and we've got to beat him on Route 22 once more. He begins with Pidgeot once again, and it might surprise you to hear that I begin with Cyberdyne. 5 of his 6 Pokemon are one-shots, so this does fill me with a certain degree of confidence. Pidgeot goes down to Thunderbolt, and out next is his Rhyhorn, who we take out with Ice Beam. Growlithe, out third, is a one-hit with Thunderbolt, and the Execute is 4th, and it duly goes down to just a single Ice Beam. Alakazam is the real issue though. Again, it takes a barrage of attacks before going down. We hit it with an Ice Beam and a flurry of Thunderbolts before we do take it out. We're not helped though by it using Recover. It does help that it only attacks once with Psybeam at the end. That does 40 points of damage, give or take. Plus, it did decide to use Reflect. Not once, but twice. Okay, whatevs. Blastoise at the end is a one hit with Thunderbolt. Final fight might not be that bad if it goes to a similar vein as that. I make my way through Victory Road. Far from my favourite, but it doesn't feel as obnoxious as it usually does. I've got a good feeling about the Elite Four, what can I say? I'm not sure where it's coming from. Lorelei will probably be awkward, as per usual, particularly her Jinx, but I can't see the rest of them giving me issues. We get to the Indigo Plateau, and here are our stats at level 70. Defence and Special are both pretty great, so I'm good with that. Special Attack and Defence were combined into the same stat in this generation, don't forget. Physical Attack we're not using. Our speed is a little low, which isn't good, but we haven't done bad so far with it. Anything specially sound like a Jinx or an Alakazam is going to be awkward with this moveset, but they are few and far between. Want to guess if I can do this at this level or not? Drop your comments in the section now. Ice-type trainer Lorelei is first and I have a strategy. I wouldn't say it's particularly clever, it just involves shocking her Pokemon with Thunderbolt until they stop splashing about. She's usually the hardest of the Elite Four in my experience in single Pokemon runs. Maybe not here so much, but definitely in Fire Red and Leaf Green. Dugong is a 2-hit with Thunderbolt, which is quite annoying as it survives on a sliver and doesn't KO itself with Takedown. It's quite tanky though, to be fair. Cloyster is a 1-hit with Thunderbolt, as is the Slowbro that comes out next, the one anomaly in her team as it isn't an Ice type. Jinx is next, she hits Ice Punch and Double Slap, and with the former I am actually terrified that we might get frozen, since you do not thaw out in this gen without using items. We 2-hit her Jinx with Thunderbolt, and then we do the same to Lapras, who lands a big body slam but doesn't paralyse us. That was pretty simple, let's move on. Bruno is next, and if Lorelei is usually the hardest, then he is usually the easiest. He suffers a similar problem to Blaine, in that his AI is somewhat questionable. I know in theory we are weak to his specialist typing, but I'm still not concerned. Onyx goes down to Ice Beam, the first Onyx that is. Hitmonchan goes down to Psychic, and that's the more defensively sound one. Hitmonlee also goes down to Psychic. The second Onyx goes down to another Ice Beam before the Machamp is last, and we duly one-hit that with Psychic 2. Now I'm not going to lie, that went pretty well. Let us see how we do versus Agatha. Now in theory we might be fine, as she shouldn't be able to touch us with ghost type attacks. That's not true. Nightshade does affect normal types in this game, and plus there's not really that many ghost moves anyway. As we saw when I did Fire Red with no stab moves, the Gengar line really benefits from not using stab in the first 3 gens, since both Ghost and Poison did physical damage. And well, Gengar is not a physical attacker. We see the Nightshade thing early, as Gengar number 1 hits us with it. Worse, we don't one-hit that with Psychic. It is a 2-hit after she heals. Golbat goes down to Thunderbolt, while both Haunter and Arbok are 1-hits with Psychic. Gengar number 2 makes the brave choice to go for Dream Eater while we're awake, and we hit it with Psychic and Thunderbolt to drop it, though it does hit us with another Nightshade for decent damage. Let's get going on to Lance. In theory, Lance should be hard, and sometimes he can be. There is one tried and trusted way of having an easy time versus him though. If you have something with Ice Beam, he can be pretty simple. So, we do at least have that going for us. You know what else helps? An electric attack, like say, Thunderbolt. That move ends Gyarados very quickly, before he moves on to each of the 2 Dragonair that he has, and each of them is a single hit with Ice Beam. They get ended very quickly, meaning that he brings his Aerodactyl out. It will be faster, but I doubt there is anything it can do to seriously harm us. And I'm right, it hits a takedown, does some damage to itself with recoil, and then we blast it out the sky with Thunderbolt, before our Ice Beam is enough to end the Dragonite in a single hit. So yeah, let's move on to the final fight then. I pop an elixir and head out to Battle Rod. Either this fight follows the same pattern as the ones that have come before, or we massively struggle. I can't say for sure, but I hope it is the former for obvious reasons. I mean, his team will be fully evolved now, so there may be some struggles. Let's see. Anyway, Pidgeot does outspeed us this time, but he chooses to go for Sky Attack, and we drop it with a crit Thunderbolt while it's charging up. So, that's an awesome start that just gets better as he sends Alakazam out. It goes for Reflect while we hit Ice Beam, and we get the freeze! So that's just outstanding. We drop it with 2 Thunderbolts to go 2 up. Rhydon is next, and it duly gets 1 hit by Ice Beam. That's half his team down. Arcanine is where things get a little trickier as we can't hit it hard easily. We hit Thunderbolts and Psychics on it, but it does a pretty good job of shrugging them off. And it doesn't help that he drops a full restore on it either, just for maximum irritation. We do eventually finish it off though, and we don't take too much damage in the process. Executor is next, and it is a 2-hit with Ice Beam, though it does hit a crit barrage. In Gen 1, if 1 hit of a multi-hit move is a crit, then they all do the same damage. Blastoise is up last. We lay into it with a Thunderbolt, which for the first time in the entire run, it survives and then blasts us with Blizzard. And just for a moment, my heart is in my mouth. But we don't get frozen, and we can finish it with a second Thunderbolt, which gives us the requisite knockout. We take it, we enter the Hall of Fame, and we complete the run. Well, this was nice, I will say. After last week's slog, it was nice to have something that was simpler than expected. For something that has like the 90th highest base stat total in Gen 1, we did this remarkably smoothly. I think it might have been the coverage we get on our moves. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, help the channel grow, like, comment and subscribe. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge as we take on Pokemon Ruby with Archie's team and moves. That could be intriguing. We'll have to see how that one goes. If you have any future ideas for challenges, drop them in the comments section below or follow the links to my Twitter or my Discord. What's going on with me? Not much reporting from last time. I did do a video where I went shiny hunting in Legends Arceus for the first time to honour hitting the 200 subscriber mark. It's the sort of thing where if you want to see someone do really badly, then it's worth a watch. I can't profess to any sort of skill, but it's there. Only 1 Mystery Dungeon upload this week. The shiny hunting video came up on Thursday, just gone. I did get a request for a picture of my dog, so I will drop that in somewhere as obligation, because I love to show off my dog. Had her for nearly 2 months now, and she did help heal a broken heart when, as I mentioned in the Ninkada video, my previous dog did die of cancer. I'm going to leave on that note. I don't really want to talk too much about that. But yeah, on a happier note, I've got a few weeks off work coming up soon, and I'm looking forward to getting some serious gaming in. I've got a team run in a DS era Pokemon game coming up. I think I might have to do that in that time, given how last week's played out for timing. I'll give you a hint, it's a Heart Gold team run, but you'll have to wait and see. I am going to drop off now. Thank you again for watching. This has been Once and Future Gamer playing Pokemon Red with a single Porygon. Take care now, have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye bye now. Take care, folks. See you later.